Rockers in Recovery Media is dedicated to carrying the message of addiction recovery through music, news, events, and festivals taking place within and not limited to the clean and sober community. Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery.
Hey, good morning, John Hollis with Waking Up Blessed here on Rockers in Recovery Radio. You can check us out at rockersinrecovery.com and all kinds of information there for you. I want to thank everybody for, hanging out with us. If you're listening to us at the Facebook page at Rockers in Recovery, we welcome you to the show. If you're listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, I want to welcome you there also. And, of course, we have a great show in store for you. Waking Up Blessed is a pretty unique program. What we do is we start out the day talking with a guest in regards to how they wake up blessed and how they, trudge the road of happy destiny each day. And we look forward to having our guest on this morning, the Addict Chick. And the Addict Chick is a pretty cool lady. Amanda Willman is somebody that you want to get to know. She has written a book. It's called Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll, The Addict Chick. And I think you can pretty much get a feel for the book just by reading. If you go to Amazon, you can read the information there, and it gives you pretty much an insight of what the book is about. And welcome to the show, Amanda. I want to thank you for being a part of Rockers in Recovery and Waking Up Blessed this morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're hanging in there. So any day we're above dirt is a good day to start.
I know that's right. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's Sam, my boy Sam over at Amethyst Recovery Center had told me about you, and I started to kind of follow what you were doing, and it's a real exciting thing to have a lady like yourself that is able to help other folks in the recovery community to understand that, it doesn't matter how far down the scale you go, there is hope and you can come back from it. Why don't you give our listeners a little bit of background on you, and how much, when you came into recovery and where you're at now, and give us a little bit about the book.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I actually grew up pretty normal family, middle-class family, except for my father was an alcoholic and my two older brothers were heroin addicts. So I decided early on that I was never going to drink or do drugs, and I didn't. But then when I was 34, I met a boy, and he shot me up with methamphetamine for my first, foray into the drug world, and I became addicted, and I lost everything, my house, my son, I was homeless, a mess. And about 3 years ago, I got clean, and I wrote a book. It actually didn't start off as a book. It started off as, I was in rehab and feeling emotions for the very first time. I'm sure that's relatable for a lot of addicts when you get clean. So my doctors recommended that I write about it and journal about it. And then when I got out of rehab, I started blogging about it, and then it turned into a book. And I'm, like I said, I'm totally blessed and grateful for the journey. And I know that my book has reached a lot of people, so I'm very grateful. The book is actually about that.
Okay, very cool.
The book isn't really a recovery-related book.
I was going to ask that. If you can just kind of give because what we did this morning was put up links for the book. So if you can just kind of explain what the book is about and kind of give a highlight. If you had to highlight the book and say, okay, this is what I was getting across and this is how I was getting it across, what would that be?
It would be that drug addiction can happen to anybody at any time. And the book is basically about what life was like for me on drugs. It kind of explores that it wasn't just the drug addiction. It began long before the first, shot of dope. it was a love addiction. It was a work addiction. And it ends on me getting clean. But, like I said, I had started it so early. I was, only a week clean when I began the book. So there's not a lot of recovery in the book. That will come in the next book. But it talks about...
And are you working on the next book?
Real depiction. Yeah, there's actually 2 more books that will come out this year. One is the second book in the Addict Chick series, and it explores a lot more of my recovery and kind of catches you up to now. And then also I started a fiction book about addiction, and it's about twin sisters that grew up in an addicted household, and one grows up to be an attorney and one grows up to be a drug addict. And it kind of explores the nature versus nurture. Are we born with it? Are we susceptible to it? Why do some of us become addicts and some of us don't? So, yeah, I'm excited for that one.
So, being on Waking Up Blessed, let's talk about waking up blessed. Every day we get to wake up, we're blessed, and we're moving forward. What does waking up blessed, look like for you in the morning? What does that look like?
Well, for me, actually, I should go back and say that for the book, the ultimate message in the book was that I found God. I did not grow up with God in my life at all. I lived in California, but through my mother, I found God. And on the day that I got saved is the day I got clean, and I have never relapsed. So for me, waking up blessed every single day is I'm grateful that I get a chance to, thank God every single morning when I wake up for waking me up. And I think that my journey, had to happen for me to find God. That's the ultimate message, that I went through hell, but in the end, I found Jesus, and that, it was all worth it.
And what would you say to somebody that may be listening that is a newcomer? How do you start your day? What are some of the things that you do to start your day to get on the right footing to move forward through the day?
I made it a habit early on that before I even get out of bed, the first thoughts I have are to God. Please keep me clean for the day. Please get me through the day without, acting on addict behavior. And I get up and I have coffee. That's real. And that helps. But I try to stay focused on what's important and what's not, I've learned a lot. Before drugs, I was extremely ambitious in corporate America, always chasing that dollar and, material things and all that kind of stuff. And now that stuff is just not important to me. Being healthy, being a good mother, those are things that are important to me. Trying to live a godly life, extremely important to me.
Do you find that while you're going through the day, hey, listen, something, nobody's bulletproof and 20 foot tall anymore. When I was actively using it, I had this invisible S on my T-shirt that nobody else could see but me. And,
right.
When I came into recovery, I had to understand that there were going to be trials and tribulations. There were going to be things that I was going to go through. And, we're going through some things right now. And one of the things that I came to understand is that each time, I'm going through something, I have to stop and pause and ask God for help and maybe make some phone calls and talk with some other people. What do you do when you're in crisis? And when you were in early recovery, you're in crisis, and maybe that thought came in, hey, listen, something? I can smell the dope. I can feel, the urge. Any of those things. What did you do with those things?
Ooh, this is actually crazy that you would even bring this up, because this morning before this, I wrote a blog post that's going to come out on my page this morning, and there was something that I struggled with, huge struggle, but when I got clean was the weight gain, gaining weight, and I know that it sounds so terrible. I mean, it's really embarrassing to talk about, but I almost relapsed over it. I mean, I actively pursued relapse, and I am so grateful that before that moment happened, I prayed. I prayed to God, please, help me through this. Help me see beyond this. And I got healthy, and it saved my life. But, I mean, I have a really, I'm going to talk about it today, and I'm going to go live on it tonight, because there's a lady that had followed my page, and her mother reached out to me a couple months ago, and her daughter had gained a lot of weight, and she relapsed, and she OD'd. So it's a subject specifically for women mostly, but it's something that we struggle with, and it's hard. I mean, it is really difficult. It's so easy to think, God, if I just did drugs again, I would be thin. I would lose this weight that I had gained. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. It's a huge struggle for a lot of people.
Very good information. How can they find your blog?
It'll be published on Addict on Facebook, and I'll probably post it also on Instagram.
Okay. And the book can be found on Amazon. We have the links up. If you're on the page right now, you're listening to the show, you can see that you can click right there. It says check out Addict Chick, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And, from what I'm gathering, because I haven't been able to sit down and read the book, so I've been gathering and getting some feedback here and there. You do get into and highlight the sexual behaviors that happens with addiction. Is that correct? Okay, so
yes.
So that being said, I'm really glad that you talk about that, because somebody that came out of the drug addiction world, it wasn't just about using the drugs; it was about all the fluff that went on around it. No pun intended.
The lifestyle.
All of those, that whole getting and going and what you did during, and it was that whole freak on type thing. So, did you find that hard? Did you find that hard when you got into the program? Did you find later on down the road, I don't know where you were at in your recovery, if you went into a relationship or had a relationship with somebody, did you find that hard to start back into a relationship with somebody and having, a sexual relationship where it didn't trigger you or wanted you to get high?
Well, you asked some tough questions here. The thing with the sex is that, when I wrote the book, I probably sexualized it much more than I needed to. But, like I said, I was feeling emotions for the first time, and it was a real depiction of what my life was like on dope. Well, when I got clean, in rehab, I had an amazing doctor, and I was diagnosed as a sex addict, and so it wasn't just the dope and the needle, it was the sex. So complete abstinence was, the recommendation. Was I perfect on that? No, not at the beginning. But then maybe about a year into it, I reconfirmed to myself that if I wanted to stay off of dope, I would also have to stay away from men. And I didn't date, and I did not have sex. And then I met my husband, and we actually waited to have sex until we got married. Because I really did want to live a life for God. Yeah, I did. I wanted to do the right thing by God, and when we did have sex for the first time, it was the way it's supposed to be. It was in marriage, and it was, with love, and there was nothing about drugs at all. It was, it didn't make me want to get high at all. It was a healthy relationship.
Yeah, it's like going in.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes, especially for men, we, have that recall, and it was tough for me, to get through that process. But I got through it. It's like listening. It's like listening to music. You know what I mean? People say, well, that could be a trigger. Listen, the more I listen to music, the more I go to concerts, the more I hang out, and I develop new thoughts and new memories. Those old ones just kind of dissipate and go away.
See, this is what I love about you, because I feel the same way about rock music. Everyone's like, how are you so involved? Because I went on tour when my book came out. I wanted to do book signings, but Barnes & Noble would not allow me because of the sexual content of my book. So, I had to think outside the box. So I contacted musicians all across the country. I sent out press releases and asked, hey, is anybody interested in letting me do a book signing during one of your shows? Well, Saving Abel picked me up in Saliva, and I got to tour with them, and it was amazing. But people kept asking me, how are you in a bar, around, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and staying clean? And for me, just like using music, it's powerful. the closest feeling to being high, like a clean high, when you're in there and the music is going, it's the best feeling for me ever. I love it, and it's
Absolutely.
something that I'll, always have. So I totally understand.
So
and,
that brings me
we're
to...
going to be at Rock on the Range.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk to you about that right now, actually.
Okay.
Rock on the Range is happening in Ohio, correct?
Yes, sir. Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. Columbus, Ohio. And what's the date on that?
The 18th, the 19th, and the 20th of May.
Okay. And it is not a recovery event. Is that correct?
It is not. No, it is
Okay.
Rock on the Range. It's the largest music festival in the country.
Correct. All right. So I just wanted to make that, I wanted to, give that disclosure to everybody that's listening because, sometimes Rockers in Recovery is involved with our own shows where it's recovery-based, and sometimes we go to the same places you were talking about, go film somebody that might be in recovery playing at a bar. Those things are still there, you know what I mean? And they're still performing musicians, and we have to put them out there and get their message out there, but at the same time also get their music out there. And sometimes their music isn't recovery related. Some songs are, some songs aren't. So it has to cross the border of the recovery community into the community. That's what we're supposed to be doing anyway. So in the meantime, by you being at this event, you have a booth there. So if somebody is in the crowd and they need help, they can go right to your booth. Or if they want to find out more information about recovery.
And do you know how many people I have met in the course of all the touring that I've done? And I did Rocklahoma a couple years ago, and there are so many people that either are searching for an answer or thinking about getting clean or realizing they're having a problem and being able to talk to somebody, or they know somebody and they want to get information for them. So this Rock on the Range is a little bit different for me this year because Amethyst and Raw are sponsoring me. So they're actually going to be there with information for treatment facility and, support. And even though it's not a recovery event, there is going to be some recovery there. And I'm extremely
a lot of the
excited.
concerts
I think
now,
it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and a lot of the concerts now have, safe zones and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool thing. And you're now a safe zone. And Amethyst being there, is also a safe zone. You have somebody that like yourself that's there to be able to, give your account of your life, give your testimony. Right. But the most important part is that you have a really great organization in Amethyst that's being able to answer the real questions, those tough questions that you said. Some people just don't understand the recovery process. When you have somebody like yourself enlightening them, and then you have somebody that's there that's a professional that's able to answer the real questions that they might have, makes it all the difference. And here's what I see, and maybe I'm wrong, Amanda. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. I think that part of the problem has been when we started this in 2008, we had, the recovery community, the 12-step Nazis showed up and said we were breaking traditions and we shouldn't be doing this and we shouldn't break our anonymity. We shouldn't talk. Well, listen, I'm a person in recovery. I'm not out there telling them I'm part of any 12-step organization. I'm there in the community to be able to help people in the community, not the recovery community. Right. Why should I sing to the choir?
Right, exactly.
We should be helping the community and letting the community know where we're at. So that process since 2008 has been a battle because you have the 12-step Nazis that will get on you. And hey, by the way, I'm a member of a 12-step organization, but I call a Nazi when I see him. So the reality is that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're so right, and I love that you paved the way because the online recovery community is growing, and the fact is that social media is here to stay. It's a huge part of our life, and it's not going anywhere. So, and people are dying, and the largest numbers ever in the history of drug addiction. you know. And
Absolutely.
so if we're not going to change to try to reach those people, then, you know, and it takes all kinds. Like, there's a huge place for 12 step, huge place.
Mm-hmm.
It saves
right.
millions of people. If you're not going to roll with the times and, you know, at least support the people that are, you know, advocating recovery on social media and reaching millions of people, then, you know, that's, you know, maybe talk to your sponsor. But, you know, I love that you are supportive like that. And I think that it's, you know, you're reaching more people that, you know, that would never have been reached if you hadn't been there.
You know something, that's all God's grace. You know, listen, by all 100%. rights, I should be sitting in a corner and, you know, people should be throwing Twinkies at me and I should be slobbering on myself. That's at best, you know what I mean? And the reality is today is that folks like us, we get to carry this message in a unique way outside of the box. And the more people that start to look at what that unique thing is for them, see, it might be totally different. God might give you a vision that's totally different than mine, but if we connect them all together, that means that God's vision is growing in so many different ways that we're able to reach so many different people. But there's a lot of people that don't see it like that out there, and that's scary. So,
I know.
You know, sometimes the community is more like, well, this is what we're doing, and good luck with what you're doing, instead of combining it together to make it even more of a larger whole, to be able to help. You know, so what I might believe might be totally different than what you believe, but when you combine it together, you're going to reach more people.
Agreed. I mean, and honestly, at the end of the day, you know, people are dying. My brother died of a heroin overdose, you know, and people are dying. And does it really matter? Are we, like, you know, more people are worried about their pride and, you know, the way that they feel and their opinion is the most important about the way people should recover. But people recover in different ways, and I am an advocate for whatever works for you. Honestly, if it's 12 steps, I support you. If it's God, I support you. If it's a combination of everything, I support you.
You know, I have a really good friend of mine. His name is Tim Cheney. And Tim said to me one time, John, you have to meet people where they're at. You can't have expectations on where they should be. So
love it.
When he said that to me, it made so much sense to me that, hey, listen, I'm not going to dictate to you how you should behave and I'm going to meet you where you're at and support you where you're at and be your friend. And, you know, and love you regardless if you're doing it the way I think you should be doing. It doesn't work. In a lot of cases,
it doesn't work
in
life either.
No.
Yeah, that doesn't work in life either. You know, not just recovery, but generally, you know, people are who they are and they're going to be who they're going to be. And, you know, I don't want, you know, an army of me's running around, you know?
Well, and you just said something very important because it's so true that, you know, we get this label thing going on where, you know, I'm an addict. Well, yeah, I'm an addict in recovery, but here's the important part of that. Before I became an addict, I am foremost a human being. I'm going to have traits as a human being. I'm going to have all of those defects, but I'm also going to have all of those assets. If I continue to look at myself just as an addict and, you know, beat myself up or regulate my life to not be the person that I truly am, then, you know, to be quite honest with you, Amanda, I'm not showing up the life who I really am.
Right. Agreed.
So that being said, we're at the final end of this. If you can, and that didn't hurt, did it? That was a half an hour.
You're awesome.
It didn't hurt, did it?
And I want to thank you, by the way, for reaching out to me.
Cool.
When my father passed away, you reached out to me, and that was like super sweet, and I was touched. So thank you.
Listen, I went through 11 deaths in 13 months.
Oh my gosh.
My mom, my dad, Lori's mom and dad, her baby sister from cancer, from lung cancer. My grandmother. I mean, it was just like 11 people. A good friend of mine, Danny the Hat. he died from liver cancer. He had the trifecta. He had AIDS. He had liver cancer, and he had Hep C. And, all of these people within 13 months were gone. And we were going to funerals, and it wasn't even, hey, listen, it wasn't even like the funeral from the one wasn't even done yet. You weren't even done grieving the one, and you were at the next one. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. And when I seen that you were going through that with your dad, I understand today that, hey, listen, you know something? When that stuff happens, the grieving process, if you don't deal with it, and I didn't deal with mine, I just got real, real angry, and it took me, I went out over it. Right. I went out over that and some other things. And how did it start? That whole behavior started because I didn't share anything and I didn't talk about it. And I got real angry and I got real resentful to God. And then, the next thing you know, when that happens, you start isolating yourself again and those things. So that's why I reached out to you, because I don't want that to happen to other people. That's something I learned from. So if I can pass that information along or just show some love and let you know that, we're there, that's what I'm supposed to do. Learn from my past experiences and how can I help others with them.
Oh, I love it, and I really do appreciate it.
You're the bomb.
And thank you for having me on. This is so fun.
I got a feeling you're going to help a whole lot of people. God's got a lot of stuff in store for you. Check
Your
out.
mouth to God's ears.
There you go, babe. Addict Chick. I love it. Check her out at Addict Chick on Facebook. And, we're going to check out a song going out right now. This is Mr. Fitzpatrick was just on our show. You can check him out, Long Way Down. And we're going to play that song on the way out. But you can also listen to this show within 20 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes of the live show. It will turn into the archives. So right here at the same link, you can come back or you can share it with your friends for the archive show. Cool thing is that our count right now is 815 people. So that's where we're at right now. So stuff, and we're also going to MP4 this file later on and also live stream it on Facebook. So you'll be able to listen to it that way, and you'll be able to find it at rockersandrecovery.com and some other places. But Addict Chick is rocking it, and we thank you for being a part of the show this morning and waking up blessed.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Promise, where's that rainbow's end? Is it hovering just beyond the ledge? I swear I reach out and grab, but I'm scared I'd hang from the smallest thread. Promise takes you to the very edge, and it's a long way down from here. It's a long way down from here.
Rockers in Recovery Radio is based on opinion only and is not meant to treat or diagnose any health or mental health issue of any kind. If you feel you need help for any health-related issues, please contact a physician or mental health professional. The opinions expressed by our guests are not necessarily those of Rockers in Recovery.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.